Okay. Okay, I think it's recording. Please let me know if it's recording on your side. I'm not seeing the... Okay, I think it is recording. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our dearest prospective students as well as current students who are looking into pursuing a different degree or have some kind of information that they would love to acquire from the current degrees that they are doing. And also a lovely, lovely welcome to our dearest UKZN staff. We have various staff members who are very pleased to join us for this session. We have a member from the finance office. We also have the different ADOs who are representing different disciplines. I'm aware that we don't have all the ADOs who will be representing all the different disciplines, but what I will do is I will communicate with them after the session in case they don't get. Probably they will be joining us as we continue the session. But if some are not joining, will not be joining us, then I will try and get the voiceover slides from them to share with the students. So as you would remember, for those of you who did join us on the previous session, I'm trying to think. I see Angela was there in the previous session. I can't remember if Refilwe was there, but yeah. If you do remember, this session is all about having to provide information around you having to, that will help you align your areas of interest, skills, and personalities with the desired career, or with the career that you probably were not even thinking that you could possibly fit into, but because rather of the information and also of the assessments that we did share with you guys, then that would help you align yourself with the particular career, which will then assist you in gaining information, or rather knowing which degree to apply for. Now, it's always good to have plan A, plan B, and possibly plan C, so that when you are applying, you have a variety of the different options that you can await to be chosen for, right? Or to pick from yourself. So that's why in the previous session, in the first session, we looked into firstly just digging deep into self. That's what the title of the session was titled. Digging deep into self, having to understand your personality and your skills, as well as how does it align to the degree and what's required from you, right? For this session, we are now delving into everything around what are the entry requirements for the desired degree in the College of Health Science, right? So that is your dentistry, MBCHB, anatomy, physiology, you name it, right? And then we'll also be discussing what are the financial expectations around funding, how do you even apply for it, and so forth. So again, this is an open and for engagement session. Hi, Ibanati. Thank you for joining us. This session is open for engagement, so please come with as many questions as you can. Our ADOs are here, our financial officers are here, our academic officers are here. Come with as many questions as you can. They will all try to cover as much information as they can as well. So according to the program, we will be looking into firstly discussing what are the degree requirements. Let's see. Yeah, what are the degree requirements? I think we'll also just move funding discussion after the degree requirements. And in the process, we will be looking into how do you then align what we had discussed in the previous session. How do you then align it to what you now know, in addition to everything that we had discussed? And then we'll see what else will follow through thereafter. We might not be able to cover everything, but we'll try our best to comprise it to as much as we can. With the different speakers that we will be having, I would like to request that you try and keep your discussion as brief as you can. And then we allow the prospective students to ask their questions. So thank you. I think we'll start off with the admission office. I think Vanessa. Vanessa. We have we have Mrs. Vanessa Chetty, who will take us through what are the entry requirements for I think the degrees, yes, for the degrees that you cover, Vanessa, if that's okay with you.
Okay, I deal with dental therapy, optometry, physiotherapy, and oral hygiene and sports science. Optometry, the minimum point is 33, and you must have maths, life sciences, or physical science at level 4. For dental, oral, and sports science, the minimum is 30, and you need maths or maths lit at level 3. Dental therapy and oral hygiene, the minimum point is 30, and you must have maths and life sciences at level 3.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. So I think to try and speak into the different entry requirements as well as the degree themselves, I'll also just allow the ADOs, the different ADOs, who will be then taking us through the required points around the degrees. So in the order that you can see here, we have MBCHB discipline to firstly start off with. So I'd like to request Uphumelele.
All right. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all well. Thank you, Nandi. So for the MPCHB, once you've applied and you've gotten in, just a note that when you're applying, UKZN does not require applicants to take the NBT. So that's the national benchmark test that maybe other universities would require you to do. So you don't need to do that. And then the entry requirements would be you need to have taken English, life sciences, maths core, and physics in high school, and you need to have passed them at a minimum of a level 5 pass mark. So that's between 60 and 69%. And then you also need to have taken LO, life orientation, and passed that with the minimum of a level 4 pass mark, and that's between 50 and 59%. So additionally, you would need to have an average or an aggregate of 65% or above for overall, basically for all these subjects, 65% and above. So that's one of the entry requirements. We basically rely on this more than we do the points system in order to meet the minimum requirements. And the closing date for the applications would be, unlike other degrees, it's the 30th of June for this one. But I would advise that you apply maybe by the 28th, which is a Friday, because the 30th does fall on a Sunday, just to be on the safe side. But the official closing date is the 30th of June. And yeah, the admission requirements are basically minimum requirements. So just as a disclaimer, achievement of these doesn't guarantee that you'll be offered a place, but you will be in line to be considered. Yeah, and I think that covers the entry requirements from my side. Thanks, Nandi.
Thank you, Pumelele. I think to try and save time, I'm wondering if we don't just cover everything in-depthly on each discipline as opposed to starting off with the entry requirements. So yeah, if you don't mind, is it fine if you can just elaborate further around the MBCHB degree that goes beyond just the entry requirements?
Okay, all right, no problem. All right, so we've covered the entry requirements specifically for MBCHB. The next would be the maximum number of students that can be accepted into the program is 250. So just for you to note that down, that the competition is high, hence your performance in your grade 12 exams is very important. So moving on to when you've received the offer from UKZN and you've accepted, you can expect the following modules to make up your first year, basically. So first year modules are year-long, meaning that you do them in first as well as second semester. So the year is divided into 2 semesters. So these modules, the same modules that make up first semester will make up the second semester. And for first year MPCHB students, your curriculum is split into terms similar to high school. So that would make it a bit familiar to what you're already used to. So there's 2 terms in semester 1 and there's 2 terms in semester 2, and each term is a continuation of the previous term, but the topics go more in depth, basically. So there's 5 modules in first year, each with their own credit weighting. So I'm sure you know what credits mean, but just to explain it in simple terms, they are a way of measuring how much work is required for that particular module. So for example, for English literacy, which is one of the first year modules, it has 8 credits, while another first year module, which is called Basic and Foundation Science for Medicine, it has 96 credits. So you can see that comparing those two, that basic foundation in science for medicine has a bit more of a workload than English literacy would have. And then on top of that, each module that you'll be doing has a DP requirement. So that's duly performed requirements, which means that in order to meet the DP requirements, you have to have met the requirements like 80% attendance to the lectures or 80% attendance to practicals or anything like that in order to be able to write your exam. If you don't write the exam, you don't pass the module, and then you have to repeat it. So just to emphasize that DP is very important. And then moving on to the modules, the specific modules, we have basic and foundation science for medicine, which I've mentioned. So this module kind of covers the basic knowledge and skills required for understanding the form and function of the human body. So it covers pure science disciplines like physics, chemistry, biology, but also it makes it kind of medical related. So you'd be able to apply these disciplines to things like anatomy, physiology, microbiology, etc. Yeah, and this module would have practicals. So most of the modules in first year have practicals. Yeah, towards them. So just to learn a bit more. So you have laboratory and computer-based practicals. The next one would be computer literacy, which basically provides students with basic knowledge and skills to be able to use computers in your everyday learning and communication. So this would involve knowing your basic software packages, like your Microsoft Office. So that's PowerPoint, that's Word, that's Excel, yeah, etc. Included in this is how to use your online learning system, which is Moodle. So UKZN uses Moodle, but we call it Learn24. But in 2025, when you are a student, it would basically be Learn25. So it just equips you with all the knowledge that you would need, computer-based knowledge, in order to be able to fully engage with your learning materials for your first year. The next one would be English literacy, like I've mentioned before. So this basically provides skills for using English correctly in clinical and professional situations to future doctors. So you need to be, for example, you need to be able to understand medical terminology. You need to be able to read case studies, clinical reports, articles, and things like that. So you need this module basically that will help you throughout the rest of the years for MPCHB. And I think the last one, okay, the second to last one is becoming a professional, which provides the student with foundational knowledge, skills, and attitudes, which are crucial for your optimum performance as students in the multidisciplinary problem-based learning program. Yeah, so the content for this module would cover aspects of individual, mental, social, and physical health and development, family, public, occupational, and environmental health, as well as psychology and language communication. This also would have a practical, which is basically a number of hours of community service that would need to make up the practicals for this module. And then we have isiZulu for non-isiZulu speaking students. If you do speak isiZulu as your home language, you can be exempt, which means that you wouldn't need to do this module. But if you don't, and it's a second language, for example, then you would need to register for this module. A new module that I should mention is we have critical social justice. This module is, you won't be tested on it, but it's very important in order for you to just be able to integrate into the social environments. Basically, it teaches you things like GBV or any kind of cases like that. And then I think lastly, there's a various range or areas of speciality that you can explore when you're doing MBCHB. So for example, once you've done, or even during your academic career, you will be exposed to these different specialities. So for example, there's a lot of them, but there's anesthesiology, there's pediatrics, which deals with children, there's dermatology, which deals with skin, there's surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, psychiatry, radiology, cardiology. There's a lot basically that you'll be exposed to as you journey through the different years of your MBCHB program. Yeah, I think that's about it from my side. But just to emphasize that there's a lot of various academic support structures that would be available to you as you do this program and other programs as well. You have us, the ADOs. You also have academic mentors who can give you that one-on-one individual academic assistance or kind of tutorials. And you also have the student support systems like Nandi, who are there just to help you throughout. So I would emphasize that as you are, when you are first-year students, that you utilize all of these different aspects of assistance that we do offer at UKZN, just to make sure that your academic career is as smooth as possible. Yeah, I think that's it from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phumelele. I think there was a question on the chat box. I'm no longer able to see it. I don't know if it was removed or something. But does anyone have any questions for Phumelele, who is an academic advisor or academic officer in the MBCHB degree? Okay, Ibanati, she's saying that she's been answered. Thank you, Ibanati. Okay. I think for the sake of time, we will move on to the next discipline. Yeah, I think we'll move on to the next discipline because at some point I would also want to feature financial officer before you leave us in the session. Jay, I hope you are fine with staying throughout, depending on how many ADOs are in the session. So now we have, pardon?
I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm okay
good.
with that, Nandi. I can stay on.
Thank you. So for the next discipline, we have Asa, who will be taking you guys through important things that you need to know for the physiology as well as anatomy discipline. Asa, thank you very much for joining us. You're welcome to take over the session or the discussion rather.
Thank you so much, Nandi. Can you please also add me as a co-host?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, I'm able to see your screen.
Perfect. Second. All right, I'll just start the slideshow shortly. Okay, please just confirm if it's clear.
It's clear, Asa.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sanbonani, Dumelang. Good day. I hope you are all feeling warm and welcome wherever you're listening from. So I am Miss Didi and I am one of the academic advisors at the College of Health Sciences under the School of Laboratory Medicine and Medical Sciences. And we offer degrees from 5 different campuses here at UKZN. So we are feeling so honored that you could join us today. So welcome to our 2024 academic information for you as prospective students. So today we will briefly talk you through the 2 degrees that we offer in the medical sciences, which is the medical sciences degree in physiology as well as anatomy. So why come UKZN? So UKZN is one of the most prestigious universities, not only in Africa, but in the whole world, as we have our programs ranking as the top 600 in the universe, so in the whole world. And our programs, I thought it might also be interesting for me to highlight that in the College of Health Sciences, we have our programs ranking in the top 200 in the whole world. So I also added a screenshot of where some of our labs are. So some of our labs are right here, just above the cafeteria. So you can also have a look at this view from our virtual campus. So have you ever wondered who are the people that answer the following questions? How can we treat rare diseases and unborn forms? Why do you blank out in a test after studying for so long? What is the difference between depression and anxiety? What are GMOs? So, do you even consume genetically modified organisms? Can rats have Parkinson's disease? And how many of you actually saw that I spelled between here? So that would have been your brain that picked it up. So if your answer is along the lines of medical science researchers, then you are on the right track. So medical sciences, for me, I think are one of the most spectacular scientists, and they do the best jobs because they solely focus on how diseases progress and how medications can actually heal people and improve their well-being and their quality of life. So they are like superheroes for me. And if you also want to be a superhero that wears a lab coat, you can come to the University of KwaZulu-Natal for one of the best degrees, which is a degree in medical sciences. So at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, we offer 2 degrees. The first one is in the degree of physiology, so a Bachelor of Medical Sciences in Physiology, as well as a Bachelor of Medical Sciences in Anatomy. So what is the Bachelor of Medical Sciences and Physiology? So in physiology, you will basically be taught for 3 years on how the human body functions. And in anatomy, you'll be more focused on how the different structures of the human body are actually related to each other. Looking at the architecture of perhaps how your lungs are formed, looking at the structure of the different bones that you have. So those are the activities that you'll mostly be learning in anatomy. So in order for you to even be considered in this degree, and remember that this degree is for 3 years, you have to have an NSC degree pass with English, life orientation, life sciences, mathematics, as well as physical sciences at level 4. And we need a minimum of 30 points, and excluding life orientation. And what I wanted to also highlight is that application closes on the 30th of September. However, for medicine, which is for the medical degree, it closes at the end of this month, which is at the end of June. So I thought that it's also very interesting that I show you what you will be studying in the first year of your study. So in university, the academic year is divided into 6 months, into half. So the first 6 months is the first semester, the second 6 months is the second semester. And in the first semester, you'll be introduced to the chemistry, biology, as well as physics for both the physiology and the anatomy degrees. And in the second semester, for the physiology students, they will be first introduced to their first human physiology module, where they'll be studying the human body form and function. And the anatomy students will then be first introduced to anatomy in Anatomy 110, where they'll be studying the ethics and law for anatomical sciences. So I have homework for those of you that really find this medical sciences degree interesting. I need you to look up on what is a cadaver and why do we need cadavers, and why do medical sciences use cadavers. And I also want you to do a bit of research on organ donation. All right. And then I'm sure now you ask yourself, where can you work with this degree? So with an undergraduate degree, you could consider venturing into postgraduate studies. So think of an undergraduate degree, which is the degree in physiology or in anatomy, the first degree as sort of like the primary school. And then since you have continued to study after primary school and continue to high school and improved studying, you can consider high school as postgraduate studies. So after the undergraduate degree or the first degree, you can consider postgraduate studies. So where you continue to doing your first postgraduate degree, which is honors, and we offer 4 programs here at UKZN. So an honors degree is 1 year where you go for the training, and this is where we train you to be more specialized in a field that is interesting to you, so that it would be your honors, which would be a minimum of 1 year. And then you have a second degree, which is your master's, which is a minimum of 2 years. And then you can also continue to your PhD, which is a minimum of 3 years at UKZN. And after you complete your PhD, you then also change your title to be doctor. This is because you would have PhD in a specific research field. So you'd be so good in that research field. And once you complete your PhD, you can also be a supervisor and a medical researcher, an independent medical researcher. This is where you'll be specializing in your field of interest. Let's say, for instance, diabetes or neurosciences, where you're learning about the diseases of the brain, or learning about diseases that are with relation to obesity. So then you would also do research in that specific area of interest. And you can also train other or mentor other students that are doing the honors and masters and PhDs on a specific research, so that you can train them into becoming better medical science researchers, so that they can also be independent researchers. So back to the undergraduate degree, you could also consider being a laboratory assistant. So laboratory assistants actually venture into laboratory-based institutions such as the NHLS or Lancet or PATHcare, or maybe the South African Blood Services. So maybe you become a technician and you're in charge of the instruments that store the different blood cells. So with the undergraduate degree, you can also venture into medical equipment or pharmaceutical representation. So you would be the medical rep. So since you would have the medical science background, you would have information about the new medical equipment, and you would talk to doctors and hospital managers to maybe convince them about the new medical equipment that is available in the market. With an undergraduate degree, there's a number of streams, as you can probably hear from this talk. So you can also go to the South African Police Services, into the forensics department, and maybe another area that you'll be interested is in ballistics, and you have to undergo further training in that specific area, where they will be teaching you about the different skills. With an undergraduate degree, you can also be an intern. So look into internships. So internships are when you go to an institute such as maybe MRC or NRF or any laboratory that will train you in a specific specialization. Let's say, for instance, histology, where you'll be studying the different structures of the heart tissues or the lung tissues or the spleen tissues, and you'll be specifically trained on how to look at the healthy specimens and the unhealthy specimens, and you'll be doing that during the whole internship, and you'll be taught on different techniques. So that would also be another area that you could also look into. And our undergraduate degree can also lead you into medical writing or become a medical editor. And our undergraduate degree can also open doors for you to go and also study in other universities outside UKZN. And there, for more information, I actually put another career guide link that has the guidance to other career paths that you can look into. And I'm sure the most burning question is, how will we study for this? Who will pay for your studies? So there are a number of scholarships that you can look to. And the most famous one is the NSFAS, the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. So you can also look into that, and you can also look into the Department of Health in the province of KwaZulu-Natal or whichever province that you are listening from. And you can also look into SAMRC, and you can look into SCIR, which is the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, where they offer either undergraduate or postgraduate or both. So please look into each organization. I also put a link down here below for you to also look at other institutions that you can look into. I have decided that I want to highlight to you guys that here at UKZN we want to support your journey as a matriculate, and we want to show you that we want to support you by offering extra classes for maths, physics, chemistry, and life sciences. However, this is offered in the College of AES, the College of Agriculture, Engineering and Sciences. So I also put the link on this side, and I'll also attach the PowerPoint slides that does not have the voiceovers for you to actually go on each of these links. So this is the slide that actually has the links of all the information that they gave to you guys briefly today. So please click on each link for more information. And the most important ones that I also put down here for you is the link to the CAO form for those that are going to be applying through the CAO form. And I also lastly put the contact details of our staff here at UKZN for you to reach out to us for more information. And also when you land on our website, I need you to click on the check the bottom right corner. You will see a pop-up message or pop-up icon like this. This is our CC bot. This is our online platform where you can actually reach out to us and write your query, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have information and an update for you. And we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for listening in for so long. I hope this was very, very informative, and enjoy the rest of the year, and good luck as you prepare for the rest of the year and for your last examinations. Thanks.
Thank you, Asa. Thank you very much for the comprehensive presentation that just gives us a very in-depth outlook on what to expect in the medical science discipline. So for those of you who are not fully aware of how the different degrees are structured in UKZN, so with UKZN we have different schools, and under those different schools there is different discipline which are also I think interchangeably called degrees. So with the two ADOs who have elaborated on their disciplines right now or just now, they are from the School of LMMS. They are from the School of LMMS, which stands for Laboratory Medicine and Medical Science. So if you have any question for Asa, you're welcome to ask her either now or as we are continuing with the session. I think with all the ADOs who are yet to present or discuss their part of their discipline, I'd like to just inform you that, including those who have already discussed, You are more than welcome once you are done with your part. You're more than welcome to. You don't have to stay throughout the session. It would be it would be actually beneficial, or it would be a pleasure to have still continue having you in the session throughout, but you're more than welcome to leave should you have something else that you need to do urgently. Should there be any questions that are directed to you, I'll make sure that I do email you so that we can then I can impart them to the students via emails, because I have been already communicating with the students. But I'm hoping that we'll just get the questions as we are continuing and whilst you are also in the session. So next up we have, I think we don't have ADO from nursing. We don't have, I don't see the ADO from nursing. School of Health Sciences. Do we have ADO for oral hygiene, dental therapy?
Hi, Nandi.
Hi, Bali.
I will be covering for School of Health Sciences.
Okay, no, thank you. So next up we have Umbali Maseko, who will be elaborating on everything that you need to know under the School of Health Science. Thank you, Bali. You can take it away.
Sorry, Nandi. I don't know if you can assist me with making me a host, or if you can allow me to share.
That's
Okay,
actually what I
thank
was
you.
about to do. Okay, sure. Let me stop sharing on my.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Umbali Masego. I'm coming from the School of Health Sciences. Majority of our degrees in the School of Health Sciences deal basically more with rehab. So rehab in terms of maybe people who have been in car accidents, in stroke, some who are even born with disabilities. So we deal majority of the time, those are the typically where our degrees lie. As you all know, in South Africa, or the policies in South Africa says that just because you are disabled does not necessarily mean that you are unable to be occupied. So they deal with basically maybe writing documents to your workplace as to what support systems you will need in order for you to achieve the work that you need to be done. So another thing, I thought about doing a presentation, but then I was like, you know what? At some point in time, you guys are going to be coming to the university. I might as well just use documentations in the university so that you guys are familiar with the things or the documents that we use. So the University of KwaZulu-Natal has something which is called a handbook. A handbook, this is designated for each college. In that handbook, you find the different degrees that are offered in the college. They even tell you about the different schools that are there and the disciplines that are there. Okay. So I want to make an example how Nandi was telling you guys that there is a College of Health Sciences. So I want to make an example so that you'll understand the terminology and where we are going with the different schools. So when you are in high school, in high school, remember that there is something that is called a science stream, and there is something that is called economic stream, and then there's something which is called general, or the tourism or the maths literacy. So it is the same here in university as well when we're speaking about colleges. Colleges of Health Sciences, that means that all degrees that are dealing with health sciences, and then degree of law and management, everything that is dealing with commerce, accounting, and all of that. Further to that, when you're looking at the science stream, then you have something which are called science modules, and then you'll have your maths modules, and you have your language modules. Okay, so our schools then get to be divided according to that. According to health sciences, they are the medical streams, which you have your physiology, your medicine, and your anatomy. And then we are the School of Health Sciences. We deal with, as I was saying, with rehab, and then you'll have nursing, obviously, which I don't like the term, but I just can't find a term we'll call them support in terms of in the medical field. So we have Bachelor of Audiology, that actually deals with the ears. Ne? For the sake of time, I would just generally sum this up. In School of Health Sciences, most of our degrees are 4 years, meaning that we call them professional degrees. But when you are done with this degree, unlike ASA, you don't have to go back now and start doing your honors. Right after your degree, you can actually go and pursue your master's. And then where do you work? Most of our degrees, once you graduate in them, some of them you start internship, which is just the pharmacy degree in our school. But all and the rest of the degrees, after you are done with your degree, you are actually supposed to be doing ComServe. ComServe is allocated by the Department of Health. You are required to do that community service. So you, straight after your degree, you go and work. And then thereafter, you are left with 2 options, whether you go to private or you go to public. I think private, there's no better way for me to distinguish between the two than to say hospitals that use medical aid and hospitals that are actually free for the community. So that is what I mean when I'm talking about private and I'm talking about public. But within your degree, right? You just now, in your degree, when you're doing you are required to do clinical hours. Most of the degrees, maybe they'll say 1,000 hours that you have to do, meaning that it's the interaction between you as a student and also as a patient. Why is it that so? So that you get to have the experience in engaging or feeling comfortable in being now a professional handling patients, different patients, okay? So that's how our degrees go, and they are very hand-based. But before that, we do borrow some knowledge from some of the degrees that are found in the College of Health Science. For example, physiology and anatomy. So in the first year and the second year of all your degrees, whether audiology, dental therapy, speech, pharmacy, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, those are rehab. So your homework is to go and research all the degrees that deal with rehab and disabilities. Those are all the programs that you will find in the School of Health Sciences. So in the first and the second years, we borrowed some knowledge from the School of Laboratory Medicine and Medical Sciences, where you do your anatomies, where you do your physiologies. It is important for you guys to actually know the anatomies. You cannot survive as a health professional without knowing the human anatomy. That foundation actually helps you when you are dealing with the patients directly. Okay, and then physiology as well. But some degrees, such as pharmacy, such as physiotherapy, they do borrow knowledge again from fields such as science and agriculture that do physics and also do biology. So they do the biology of humans and they also do the physics. Okay. Why is that? Because sometimes in pharmaceutical sciences that deal with pills that actually deal with motions and stuff like that, and physiotherapy, most of the time there is a component of speed, so all of those things. So that's the reason why we draw knowledge from science and agriculture with your physics and biology, and also from anatomy and physiology. So once you are done with your first and your second years, you deal with third year. From third year to fourth year, you are in hospital. In hospital, when you are in hospital, you find people which are called your clinical supervisors, and you are integrated into the workforce of the hospital, but with supervision. Okay, so you're just not left there alone. So there with supervision, you get to know how they record, how to do a handover of your patient, how to do referrals. So you just get to be integrated into the workforce. You learn the systems when a patient actually comes to you, the booking system, and you just feel part of the community that is servicing the community out there. In pharmacy, if you do pharmacy, it's a little bit different, because pharmacy and optometry, because they get to experience the private sector as well, where they get to work in private practice, such as Specsavers, and all the other one. And pharmacy, they get to work in private pharmaceutical clinics, such as Clicks, and all of that. So they get to experience how it would feel like to be in the private sector and how it feel like to be in the public sector. The reason why all of this gets to be integrated into your degree is so that when you go and do ComServe, for example, when you get to be sent into a rural attachment, where you are the only audiologist or the only physiotherapist in the clinic, you are aware of how the processes work, how the referral processes, and how everything works. So it is more like a community ComServe is like a community service that you do to your country, basically. So you go work in public sector. There's nothing about it. You will never be qualified if you do not complete your ComServe. Okay. What else am I missing? I'm trying to, so I did the work. I've told you exactly what, okay, another thing that happens for a very long time, as you guys know, those who are in rural placements, we found that most of the time when you get into those clinics, they are not aware of people like audiologists, like speech therapies, like dental therapies, like physiotherapists, which are important for the holistic management of patients. So what UKZN have developed together with the Department of Health, they made an agreement that they are going to expand the clinical practice places. So when you get to final year, which is your fourth year, you get to be placed in those rural places. Manguze, in Greytown, Msinga, in I don't know, Bethesda, in Newcastle, in Stenga, places which are actually defined as rural in terms of the Department of Health. When you get there, you get to have an interaction with those communities. So you get to experience the challenges in which they are facing there. You get to work with limited resources, if I may say. You learn to work, but also there is also supervision in your final years when you are placed in those rural attachment places. And then from the main campus, which is Westville, your lecturers actually also do come and visit every block. Another thing that I want to say, normal cases is that you're going to be doing semester modules for your first years and your second years. But when it comes to your third year and your fourth years, you are doing block rotations now. Meaning that, for example, if you are in physiotherapy or in where you're going to have, like, for example, your neuro, you do your neuro block in a particular hospital. And after that 6-week block, you move on and you do your NMS, where you deal most of the time with stroke patients, sometimes, and then you do your cardio blocks, where you are seeing patients in the ICU, and then you do, which was the flight? The community block. Community block is basically you going into the community. It can be a campaign project or whatsoever, but campaigning what physiotherapists are, or looking to see what they are lacking in the community and come up with a project that's going to help them better their lives in the future. Okay. So from School of Health Sciences, basically, if you come in and you become a student here at UKZN, your life will look like first two years, you're doing your foundations, where you're getting knowledge from the physiology and anatomy, and also from your physics and your biology. And when it comes to third year, that's when you are doing your blocks and you are actually going to hospital, and you are actually interacting with the patients and the staff. And you're also seeing some of the students that are doing other degrees as well. So then you're just doing an interprofessional education altogether there for your clinical hours. Another thing that I want to let you guys know is that all our degrees are monitored by an external body or professional body, which is called the HPCSA, except for pharmacy, which also has its own professional body. So when you come to UKZN, you have to actually register to be a member there, but as a student. If you do not do that registration, you cannot be allowed to do any clinicals. And therefore, we cannot, at the end of the day, you cannot do, if you do not have that registration as a student, you will not be able to practice as a student in hospital. So even if you do, that means that you will not have a degree. And after you have gotten a degree, you do another registration now as a ComServe. And after you are done with ComServe, then you do a registration now to saying whether you're an audiologist or a pharmacist. And every year you get to renew that membership. But in order for you to practice, you must always have a membership with HPCSA or the Pharmaceutical Council if you are doing pharmacy. And then I just wanted to say that the minimum requirements for majority of our degrees, it's a minimum of 30. You must have life sciences, physics, and maths at level 4, except for pharmacy. So if you really just have questions, I know you have questions, or maybe are shy to ask, just go to www.ukzn.ac.za, click on students, you'll find college handbooks, and download the College of Health Sciences handbook. It will have all the minimum requirements, the curriculum, and everything that you need. That will tell you about how your life would look like, how your academic life would look like as a student if you were to be admitted into this module, into these degrees. Just one thing I want to say. When you get to university, you might have some particular challenges. Maybe you will have difficulties adapting into the university. Majority of the time, the university does give you an extra 2 years to actually complete your degree. So if, for example, God forbid, you fail a module in our university, it's not the end of the world. We give you a chance to redo it again. And the maximum years that you can finish a 4-year degree would be 6 years. With that said, there's much support and everything like that in our university. So please do come and be part of our become part of our family. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Valently. Thank you for even emphasizing on the various support that we offer as a university. I think it's very comforting to know that once you are entering university, it doesn't mean that now you are completely alone. There's always a team of people to be able to usher you through throughout your journey and support you. So thank you for even the brief comparison and contrast of the different disciplines. I think that pretty much even saves us some time. Yeah, because I don't think also we have the other different ADOs. And also we are about to come towards the end of the session, which is at 5. So we'll just have to see how we can move with the time. This is our first try of trying to cover all the different disciplines in one session. Perhaps in the next sessions, which will probably be second semester or early next year, we will probably have to go back to covering the different schools in different days, because I can see that with the time it is a bit pressuring. So let's see with the next, is there any questions for Mbalenhle before we move on? I'm interested in knowing who has applied for what. Let's see how many, if we still have, okay, I think we still have the prospective students, current students. Who is applying for what? Ibanati, Refiwe, Angela. We also have, who else do we have? Okay, so Ibanati is saying she has applied and paid for MBCHB. Wonderful. At least you know who to connect with Ibanati for more information. Pumelele, I think she's still in the session. So you can always ask if you have any further questions. All right, so now we're moving on to let's see, occupational therapy. I think speech. Okay, I think we have. Thank you, Mbali. ADOs, can I ask you to just put your email address on the chat box as Mbali has done so. So I think next up we will have Jay, who is representing the finance office. Now here you were having to be talked through the different entry requirements for the different degrees, what to expect academic-wise, and also the amount of years to study for, as well as just looking beyond the degree. And now Jay will be taking you guys through everything that you need to know regarding financial support for your degree. So Jay, I would like to request for you to take over the session. Thank you.
Hi Nandi, hi everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to to speak to you guys today. Just a correction. So we're not from the finance office. We are two different departments. So I am from student funding. Funding and finance are two separate departments. We play two separate roles, and we have different processes and different understanding of funding. So just bear in mind, colleagues, I'm from student funding. We are based at three campuses, Howard College, medical school, and we based at Westville. So I sit on Westville campus, and I'm responsible for all the health sciences on Westville campus. We have our senior who sits at medical school. Her name is Nosipo Mkize. And then we also have Musa Gumbi, who sits at medical school and is responsible for nursing students. So, colleagues and students, prospective students, just to quickly, I don't like to go to presentations. Reason being is sometimes people get caught up reading presentations or it's so long and the information is lost in between. No disrespect to anyone who did the presentation. It's just funding. There's a lot of financial issues to talk about, different types of funding. And sometimes there's so much of information shared. So I prefer just to speak. I even enjoy when we have a communication session where students ask about funding or ask questions, and then we can talk more about it. I want to just thank Asa for sharing some information for us at the end of her presentation. I think that helped her, but with the links and the website addresses with regards to NSFAS and CSIR with NRF. So friends, colleagues, the types of funding that we offer, student funding, we have three types of funding. So I will start with bursaries. Bursaries are sponsors that fund students externally. We have internal bursaries and external bursaries. The majority of our funding comes from external sources. These are people like the KZN DOH, the Aspen, the Clicks, the ShopRite, and these are sponsors that have their own criteria, they have their own deadlines, they have their own processes. So what they do is sometimes they contact us and tell us, look, please can we have so many students, this gender, this race, or we're looking for specific students, then we send them nominations or list. And that is drawn out from our system. Once you register, you are loaded in our system, and then we send them based on the criteria of the sponsor. Then you get sponsors that have websites and have applications on their web pages, and you apply directly to those sponsors. Now, where you can get these addresses of these sponsors is if you Google a book called the Bursary Register of South Africa, or even if you go to any library or any bookshop in South Africa, there's a book. The book's called the Bursary Register of South Africa. That book has all the donor details, and it has some of the criteria and the deadline dates of when the sponsors close. So when you write to those sponsors, they either will send you application or they'll send you time frames regarding the applications and the processes, saying that look, we close in the month of August. Please fill in the application or please submit your name to us or your CV to us. Those are all external the sponsors. External sponsors are basically full buses, meaning you do not have to pay back, nor will you have to be charged any interest. There's no loan value attached to it. It's strictly buses. In most cases, these buses cover tuition, res, meals, books. In some cases, the laptops are covered or stipends or allowances. Some of these buses are contractual. For example, if you get a bursary from KZN Health and you finish your degree, for every year that you get a bursary, you'll be working 1 year of service with the organization. And at the end of your contract, you either got a choice of they will either keep you on if they have a post available, or you're welcome to leave once your service contract is completed. Not all donors have service contracts. Mostly the health sciences do because they do post students. If you go to Clicks, for example, and you go to the pharmacy, you will see most of our students or students that graduate in pharmacy practicing at these pharmacies. The same with Department of Health in some of the hospitals. You will see our students practicing there as well. Colleagues, once again, just Google the book, The Bursary Register of South Africa. You can also get, if you go to our website, the university website, under student funding, you will find there's a link that takes you to all these addresses and all these sponsors. We've tried to make it much more easier for students by putting in this link so that you will be able to click onto this link and get all those addresses of those donors. With that being said, there's also internal bursaries. So if you perform well on your first year and you're getting an average of 65% and above, we sometimes get bursaries that we offer from the university. For example, if Aspen has given us 100,000 and say, look, you need to fund your students in pharmacy, then we will take the best pharmacy students academically, and obviously those that are financially needy, and we will offer them bursaries. In most cases, those bursaries are partial, they're not full bursaries, so you will obviously have your tuition fees paid and maybe some books, or in most cases, they won't cover your full fees as in residence or your full meals, because we have limited amounts and we have a big range of students that apply or that meet the criteria. Moving on to our scholarships, and I think this will be very important for first year. So if you perform well in matric, if you get 5 A's, excluding life orientation and maths lit, you will automatically qualify for a scholarship of 20,000. If you get 6 A's, you will get a scholarship of 25,000. And that's excluding LO and maths lit as well, because the reason we exclude those, because everyone seems to be getting A's in those subjects. So 6 A's, 25,000, 5 A's gives you 20,000. The scholarship is renewable to the end of your degree. So you can get it every year as long as you maintain your 80% average. Now, when we tell students that, they all of a sudden get a shock and they get a fright. But we've noticed a trend over the years that majority of our students maintain those scholarships. We believe that the students that are academically performing in matric are the ones that generally also perform well at university, and they keep those scholarships right till the end of the degree. You can hold those scholarships with other bursaries. You can hold those scholarships with NSFAS. The advantage, if when you hold a scholarship with a bursary, and if your bursary fully pays your fees, you get back that money back into your bank account, meaning you are refunded that whole 20 or 25,000 rand. If your donor has an objection, then obviously we're going to follow the rules of the donor. With regards to NSFAS, unfortunately, NSFAS does not allow you to take that refund. So if you have NSFAS and you get a scholarship, what happens first is the scholarship goes in first, pays towards your fees, and whatever the balance is, NSFAS tops up your fees. The idea of that is so that they don't overfund students. And you'll see why I'm telling you they don't overfund students, because they don't want to be putting monies in students' pockets whilst there's other students still waiting in line to be funded. There's other types of bursaries. There's the Emma Smith bursary, scholarships, the Emma Smith scholarship. There's the Victor Gates. There's the Rhodes scholarship. There's a whole lot of scholarships, and each scholarship's got its own criteria, and that is all updated on our website again. If you go onto student funding, the website, and you look at scholarships, you'll see the different types of scholarships and what their criteria are. Obviously, for the best 10 performing females that come in first time around from the matric, there's scholarships for that. And there's so many different types of scholarships, and most of the scholarships are given on academic performance. The other type of funding, colleagues, that we're going to speak about, and I think most students are aware of, and most staff or university officials are aware of, and it's become a norm now, is the NSFAS funding. Now, NSFAS funding over the years have been a loan for years back until the fees must fall. And when that happened, and the government, the DHED Department of Education, decided let's convert these NSFAS loans into 100% bursaries. It had its goods and its bads about the conversion, and that's we're still discussing, and you'll see why also we say it had its good and its bad. With regards to NSFAS being 100% bursary, now it covers your full tuition, your full residence or accommodation, depends where you're living. If you are living at home and travel from home, then you get a home allowance. If you are living at residence or PA, you get a meal allowance, and you also get a book allowance. So your meal allowance is paid over 10 months. Every month, for the first 5 months of the first semester, you get allowance every month. With big book allowance, you get the first half in the first semester and the second half in the second semester. The reason why we pay per month and per semester is sometimes you have students fall out or they don't come back, or sometimes we have students that tend to spend all the money in one go. If we give you 5 months of allowances upfront, you will just spend it. Some students are not responsible with their allowances, and they tend to suffer when the monies are all dried up and finished. How do you qualify for NSFAS? So when you go onto NSFAS website, and it's on our website as well, the university website, and if you Google NSFAS, it automatically comes up with a link, the website link, which Asa shared earlier on, and we will definitely share this with Nandi so she can distribute this to you guys as well. There is a link that will take you directly to NSFAS page. Then for 2025, the applications are still to be open, and that's depending on NSFAS timeframe. They're usually open for 2 months, but they don't have a specific month or date that they start. We're hoping this year that it will be early and not as late as November, like they did last year. When applications are open, students that are between 0 income and 350,000 will qualify for NSFAS. You gotta be either single income or joint income. And I say you, meaning your parents. If you are self-employed or you are a student that's working, your income has to be below 350,000 rand. Now, anyone that exceeds 350, so anyone between 350 and 600,000, is called the missing middle. And this is where from this year onwards, which is still going to be implemented in the weeks to come, is called the NSFAS loan. So NSFAS has come back with the same system that I spoke about a few minutes ago, where you get 100% loan. That loan is interest-free, and once you finish your degree and you pass 70% of your courses, 50% of that bursary, 50% of it is converted to a bursary, and the other 50% is a loan. That loan part is only interest is only charged on the loan part once you complete your degree and you start employment. So they bring it back that system because NSFAS found that due to lack of funds or shortage of sponsorships or investments, they tend to now be running dry in the NSFAS well, so they want to do a recovery process. So previously when NSFAS had the system, they used to recover money for students that finished their degrees and started to be employed and had to pay back their loan portion. And then there were a recovery process, meaning that they could sustain NSFAS for the longest period. And due to the fees must fall, the 100% bursary coming into play, it put a huge strain on government, Department of Higher Education, and NSFAS to now try and recover monies or fundraise. With regards to the economy, I'm sure everyone knows how tough it is on a day-to-day basis. So people are not just willing to come up and invest or sponsor and say, there's 100 million, please use it towards education. Department of Higher Education puts in a lot of money into funding with regards to NSFAS. Well, basically, it's money that's put in from DHET that goes into NSFAS funds. So that's a good system. We are quite pleased to hear that because it will help with students that are in the missing middle, the students that cannot afford to get NSFAS, that do not qualify for NSFAS. They will fall now under the loan scheme. And the loan scheme is beneficial in a way that you are not charged interest during your years of studies. If you work hard, there's a portion of your fees will be converted into a bursary, portion will be a loan. So there are positives coming through from NSFAS side. There are initiatives to try and fundraise and pick up that quota of the NSFAS loan part. There will be a loan agreement that will have to be signed. So that will be done with the institution and the student. And the good part of NSFAS at the moment is that everything is going digital, meaning that when you apply for your application, you will set up your whole user, your whole profile. And when I say you, I stress that the students must do it themselves. Do not get parents, brothers, sisters, or uncles and aunties, because we found a trend when this is done by someone but the students tend to forget their password or the users, and they tend to forget the whole system or how it works, and they find themselves stuck in the middle of an application, or even when they're down the line trying to look at the outcome of the application. Once you do your application, there's a process. You log onto your portal and you can track your application right from the start, every step of the way till you are funded. Once you are funded, the university then gets a funded list, which we then load onto our system and we clear you for registration. So if you're a funded student, there's no need to pay a registration fee because NSFAS covers your registration fee, which is part of your fees. Very importantly, also to understand that, look, students must, when doing the application, be honest and they must try and put all the information correctly. If your cell number is put in, all that information will go to that cell number, meaning your PINs, your password, everything to do pertaining to your application. When you log on, you can also track every step of your application. For some reason, if I'll give you an example, you're a SASA student, all SASA students should be qualifying for NSFAS because your income or your threshold is way below the benchmark of 350,000. So those students are generally approved very early and then they are given funding. For some reason, if you do not qualify or if your income is below 350 and in the high, like 250,000, but you were declined, you have the right to appeal. A student can appeal the application, and you have 31 days from the time you are rejected to your application closure. So within the 31 days, you got to apply your appeal, meaning support your application. Say, look, my parents are below the threshold. There's my father's income, there's my mother's income, there's the IDs. Please reconsider my application because I do qualify for NSFAS. Those cases are looked at into investigated, and in most cases, in most majority of our appeals came back successful, unless NSFAS has found something to be, either irregular or find the information that's not correct. Now, NSFAS is linked up to the Department of Home Affairs, to SARS, they're linked up to Department of Labor, and they have an investigating unit on board. So they do all the verifications and checks. So if a student decides, look, their parents are very well financially and decide to give the information of a granny or decide to lie on the application, this could have consequences, especially when you are caught out or you found that you are trying to defraud the system to a point where you could be suspended in the sense of not even getting financial aid, and leave alone, you'll probably not be given acceptance to study based on information that you're withholding or not sharing with NSFAS. So Nadine, those are the basic things that I've just covered with the three sectors of funding. With regards to refunds, I'm not going to go and touch into refunds and allowance payments because I think it just complicates things. Those things come into play more once the student's funded. And where we strictly at student funding, we deal with all the funding part of we deal with everything to do with funding in our offices. Once you are funded and you are getting allowances or you are meant to be paid every month, we do all the paperwork and then we transfer it over to student fees. Now that's where student fees is a different department. That's student finance. They are responsible for paying you allowances on a monthly basis. They get a report from us every month or it's generated systematically and they run the payment for every month for students to receive their allowances, be it bursaries, scholarships, or the NSFAS bursary or loan system. My advice to all students and to all our academic leaders, please encourage our students, especially first years, that they all, as soon as they registered, they should all be applying to student fees or going on to student fees website and updating their bank details. We found that students get funded and then 2 or 3 months later, they're not receiving the allowances or they complain that, look, I did not get paid, only to find that at orientation when this was discussed or on our website when it says, please update your banking details with student fees, students are not doing that. Or they're starting the process and they're not returning those forms. They're leaving it midway, which is a serious effect at the end. Whether you are funded or you're a non-funded student, every student should have their banking details updated to student fees. And the reason being, if a non-funded student pays more than their fees or for some reason has a credit, those students also get refunds. And student fees or student finance cannot refund a student unless they have the banking details. So please, colleagues, very importantly, please update your banking details. The banking details forms are on the finance website. Can be filled electronically, but apparently it has to be taken to a bank and get stamped, and there's some supporting documents that need to be added from the bank. So please read up on that and please adhere to finance rules. Thank you, Nandi. I think I covered everything very briefly, but I'm open to questions. And if students want, as I mentioned, there's 3 different staff across the 3 campuses. We're most welcome to meet with students, sit down, talk. They can call us, and we're available to advise them and direct them in the right way. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jay, and thank you for giving the students clarity regarding your office. If you don't mind, can you kindly just write down on the chat box the different email address for your colleagues, Mr.
Sure,
Okay,
no problem.
thank you.
I'll share that now.
And just specify who is at which campus.
Sure, no problem. I'm sharing that now.
Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, actually, it's almost 5 now. I'm just wondering if you have any other question. You've heard from the different disciplines to now the funding office. Is there any question at all that you have? I know that here in the chat box that we have a message from a concerned parent who was mentioning that she has been she's planning to apply for her daughter who is still in matric, but is not doing any subjects that were mentioned in the session. I don't know if maybe you want to quickly elaborate further, Refiwe, or are you going to email the ADOs? I'm not sure how it's going to go. You're more than welcome to unmute yourself and elaborate your statement. Is Refiwe still in the session? Refiwe Mgoni. Okay. All right. Okay, probably she's busy with something. Okay, we have come to the end of the session. Unfortunately, I'm sure there's so many questions or things that you would like to mention that are popping up in your head. You're more than welcome to still get in touch with the different staff members who have given you bits of regarding what they offering service for. You're more than welcome to email them individually, or you can email myself and I can forward your question or your concerns to that colleague. But otherwise, thank you very much for taking your time to avail yourself. I hope that you've found this session worth it, and you found it very valuable to help you make more informed decisions further. I encourage you to go into the UKZN link, www.ukzn.ac.za, for more information regarding the degree that your desired degree, or even for financial anything on funding, right? Yeah, I think that's probably my 2 cents from me. I'm sure the ADOs and Jay, I think he's already left now. They've managed to mention as much as they can, or as much as they would have wanted to, and would have loved or would still love to hear from you. So I don't want to say that this is the end of us connecting. Can we keep the communication alive? It's still we're still mid-year, or it almost over mid-year, but there's still time. There's still time to sit with yourself, look at the different options that you have, think about what you find that you align with, right? If you feel that you probably could benefit from speaking to a professional who can assist you in understanding yourself better. Let's say you are in a position where you are you feel like you're confused career-wise, or there's just some kind of extra motivation that you need. You are more than welcome to request further sessions with myself. I do offer career counseling and assessment. So you're not alone. We are always here to support you. Just as we have already started, may the connection continue. Whether you are university, whether you eventually become UKZN student or not, but we are more than always willing to offer support. Thank you guys for joining. Also there is a link that I wanted you to rate, basically click into in rating the impact of this session. I'll send the link now, just now. All right. Please make sure that you rate the impact of this session. Yeah, we'll keep in touch on email. Thank you very much for joining, and take care. Bye, everyone.